Hello everyone, my name is Alok Mishra and I welcome all of you once again on my YouTube channel. Today in this discussion or in this conversation, I am going to share a few tips for those who want to begin reading classics in English, Hindi or any other language, but they cannot begin, or if they begin, they cannot continue, or even if they continue and somehow finish the first one, they don't care about reading the second one or continue their journey into the world of classics. So something does not click, something does not sound right. So what is it? How can we get after, or how can we cross this reader's block that blocks us from reading classics in a continuity that just somehow stops our journey into the world of classics? So what are the mistakes and what are the best tips that someone should stick into the habit of reading classic, or what are the common mistakes one should avoid, and then how one should choose the best possible classics so that the journey is productive, energizing, helpful, and also entertaining at the same time. So be with me in this video as we get into all those points one by one. Okay, so before we dive into any of the options or any of the points that we'll be discussing in this video, let us determine or fix the purpose of reading classics. So as far as I can see, there are only two categories of readers. The first is those who are compelled to read. That means those who are into studies or academics, those who are studying literature in any particular language. And the second category is of those who are just interested in reading literature in any language. So which kind of reader are you? Are you compelled? That means, do you find classics mentioned or prescribed in your syllabus? Or you are just someone genuinely interested in reading classics and want to find the best possible literature to read? So first of all, decide what kind of a reader are you? And then once you decide, things become clear. If you are a student of literature in any language and you have to read A, B, C, D classics in your syllabus, then my friend, there is no other option. You have to read those books anyhow. This way, that way, that way, or this way. You can't skip those. As I always reinforce and as I always emphasize, if you are a student of literature, then you should go through A to Z of your syllabus at any cost, because that will help you in the long run as well as in the short run. But this video is not for the students of literature particularly. This video is for all those who are genuinely interested, who are passionate about reading classics, and I'll be focusing on those readers only. So let us discuss the points that can help us, that can ease our journey into the world of classics. I have seen many people recommend that you should make a routine, you should stick to a routine, you should be very disciplined, and you should give it some time every day by compulsion, by force, or by just taming your mentality or just giving in to it. You have to read and you have to read. There is no other option. But I would not recommend that. The thing is that if you are genuinely interested in doing something, then you will do it without the need of hardly disciplining yourself. So, first of all, make your mind. Do you want to read or not? And even after that, even if you somehow coax yourself that I have to read certain books, give it some time. Start with chapter 1, and if you find it interesting, give it a shot. And then, if you find the first chapter interesting, move ahead. Do you find the second chapter interesting or not? If not, stop, pick another book. If yes, read that. The thing is that the book, the so-called classic, has to have something to keep us engaged, indulged, and energized. If the book does not have something to offer, to offer you particularly, then there is no compulsion, there is no social pressure, there is no peer pressure. So if you're reading just because others find it interesting and somehow you don't find it interesting, but you keep reading, that is the reason, my friends, you lose your interest in reading classics or reading any book for that matter. Don't read it because someone else has found it useful, attractive, engaging, or just mind-blowing. No, that's not the reason that you should read a book. If you find a book interesting, even if the world does not find it interesting, that is your go-to companion. You should read that book. The thing is, once you read a book completely, any book of any kind, that gives you the confidence that you can at least completely finish one book. And that is your first step. And the thing is, if you could just somehow comprehend it rightly, you have to have your own agenda. You have to have your own likes and dislikes in terms of getting your first book. And once you do that, you find the spark or you find the flash in that book that could hold you from the first page to the last page. Then only you have to read that. Otherwise, if someone finds To Kill a Mockingbird mind-blowing, and there are many people in the world who may not find that book that enticing or engaging, and they somehow leave that book aside and they rather get away or get along with The Great Gatsby. So you have to find your own spark. Nobody can help you in that. Nobody can influence you into reading a book. If they influence you how you read a book, then, my friend, you don't have that much of your stake in reading. Don't get influenced by others. You may seek help or advice from someone else, but ultimately reading a book or leaving it aside is up to you. So don't let others dictate your reading list. Make your own reading list and then at least begin with your own perfect choice. If you find the first chapter interesting, read the second one. If you find the second chapter interesting, read the third one. Otherwise, leave it aside and pick another book so that you can at least finish the first book. So this is the catch. Don't get influenced or dictated by others. At least for the first book, choose your book wisely. Choose your book if you find it interesting and always finish the first book. This is the first thing that you need to do. And in order to do that, you have to have some interest in that. And then once you have successfully finished your first book, then you should feel a change within yourself. Now you can be patient with a book. Now you can give a book some time. Now you can choose a book wisely, reading chapters of a chapter. And then if you find like this is the genre that I enjoy, read the second book in the same genre so that your muscle memories, your intellectual investment into reading, and your mental shaping, your emotional binding with books in any particular genre develop. And once these things develop, then reading becomes natural to you. Reading comes naturally, and if you see a book, then some part of your brain would challenge you. Oh, come on, can we please go ahead with that? So when you finish the first book, my advice is you should finish the second book in the same genre, or if possible, by the same author, if the author has written more than one books, of course. So go with the second book in the same genre, or at least by the same author if you find some other books by them. So that will give you more confidence. That will give you an idea of any particular genre. And then if you find this genre is too generic, you can move ahead, you can jump your ship, you can choose another author, you can choose another genre. So the first book should be perfectly of your choice. Whether others say it beautiful or not, it doesn't matter. It should be up to you. Second book, I would advise go with the same genre or with the same author. If you find the genre interesting, you find the author interesting. And then when it comes to reading the third book, now you can just look for opinions. You can look for other challenges. You can look for books that is different from the first two that you have read. So now you can go for opinions, you can go on some online or offline book forums, you can join some book clubs, you can find reading lists curated by bloggers, by literary critics, or by literary influencers. And if you develop your habit into reading books this way, that is the best course. Now, the time is to discuss some helpful tips that will help you sticking with your reading course or sticking with the habit of reading. The point is, don't pick too heavy classics as your first book. Now, which are two heavy classics? Let me give you an example. If you pick up Lawrence Stern's Tristram Shandy, my friend, that is too difficult a read even for highly activated literary minds. The book is literally a psychological challenge to get across. So if you are not into reading classics, if you're not from a literary background, that will be too difficult for you. So don't get influenced. Do you see the point? Don't get influenced by others. For example, if you choose To Kill a Mockingbird, or if you choose William Thackeray's masterpiece, in fact, Vanity Fair, or if you choose Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse, or if you choose Ulysses by James Joyce, or if you choose The Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. So these are the books that may act as obstacles as soon as you start reading, because these books are challenging. These books are to be read once you develop the habit of being patient with a book or an author. Once you learn how to give literature the time to unfold. So, in the first, second, and maybe the third wave of your reading, what you need is some books where things actually happen at a good pace, where events take place, where scenes unfold rather quickly. So I'd advise you choosing the books by those authors who have been able to keep some space for action, keep some space for seriousness, at the same time give some space to entertainment, to art, to something which is interesting. And Scott Fitzgerald's novel, The Great Gatsby, or other novels by him, then novels by Graham Greene for that matter, or novels by R.K. Narayan, or novels by Jane Austen for that sake. These are the novels where things actually happen. And how can I forget Thomas Hardy? So if you pick someone from these authors where there is ample space for everything to unfold, some actions take place, some interesting events just unfold in front of your eyes, then you will be engaged with your reading sessions. You will be actually interested, genuinely passionate about knowing what happens next. So once you read 2, 3, 4, 5 books where things take place and you develop a habit of sitting for some time with a book in your hand, when you develop the patience to give the artist or give the characters the time to complete their cycles, and once you learn how to navigate from the first page to the last page without being irritated, annoyed, or without being bored, then you have developed as a reader. And you can read any book, even War and Peace, even Crime and Punishment, even To Kill a Mockingbird, or even the challenging ones by Samuel Beckett and guys like Harold Pinter and others. So, this was my 2-bit to all those who want to read classic, who may have started but could not continue, or who may have somehow finished the first one but did not bother to pick the second one. So start with lighter liftings. That means the books where actions take place. And I would advise if Scott Fitzgerald, Thomas Hardy, Jane Austen, R.K. Narayan, or the authors like Graham Greene, D.H. Lawrence, and others in that category. So once you read some books by these authors, then you are free to choose anyone you like. So this is how I think you can develop your habit of reading classics. So these are only suggestions. I don't strictly say like this is the only way you can start reading classics. You can develop your own literary sense once you somehow finish one, two, or three books. After that, you'll be too able to find your own likings, dislikings, to find your own path, and then finally to carve your own line into the world of classics. I'll be reading this, that, that. So, first of all, start with simple books and then gradually develop into reading some moderate or moderately challenging books. And then you can read any books that you want or any books that critics or scholars or bloggers challenge you to read. So this was it for the day, and I hope that you will find something in this video that will interest you, that might help you in order to choose your perfect companions, to read your first book, to read your second book, read your third book, and then develop your own habits of reading classics. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you have found something useful here. I'll be back with more videos like this very soon, and for literature students, I'll be doing more videos like I have been doing almost for a month. Thank you, all the best, have a good time, and happy reading.